Okay, good morning, everyone. So my name is Marja-Liisa Meurice. I'm a director of CLC North-East of EIT Food, so taking care of all the Nordic countries and East. And I'm really pleased to open this, let's say, this business lunch, especially because we have a spotlight on Danish plant-based startups. And there's several reasons for that, but I will not tell all of them to you already, so you will discover a little bit all the way. I can see also many familiar faces, but I can see also many new faces. So I'm really pleased that this event has attracted so many of you. So again, warm welcome. One really important thing I was told to be reminding you is that this event is recorded. So obviously by continuing to take part on this event, you accept this recording office, so to speak. So if you don't, then you simply have to leave this event, and you can then obviously maybe see it afterwards. But if you don't want to be part of the recording, then unfortunately we don't really have another choice to propose to you. So without any further let's say talking, because time is of essence in these kind of a business lunch areas. So I will guide you through a few slides only to present also EIT Food, because I know that some of you are not necessarily so familiar of this EIT Food organization, but you know, it's not going to be a very long one. Then we will certainly get to the real essence of the day. Eva, can you put me the next slide, please? So, as you probably certainly know also, that EIT Food is, of course, a European-wide organization where basically we can be considered actually Europe's leading food initiative. It is, of course, really important because often we can consider that food industry itself is very fragmented. And one of the aims of EIT and EIT Food is to actually somehow collect together all the strength that we can have actually in this agri-food area. I would say that our mission per se, we can kind of maybe put it in a couple of key words, is that we certainly want to be sustainable, food future-proof, because of course what we are doing is for the future of our world. We want to be also inclusive, and with the idea that, you know, we are creating impact that will be seen in the health, environment, and also in economies. Can you maybe go to the next slide, please? So then we basically, I mean, we all are dealing with these really huge global challenges. I mean, I don't probably have to enumerate them for you, because I'm sure that you are all aware of them. Of course, one of the maybe specific things that are related to food is that, you know, at the same time we are dealing with the things like obesity, and then at the same time we have to deal with the fact that not everyone has enough food to eat. So these are kind of extremes in the areas where we are. Then we go also into areas that are a little bit more specific, but are touching, of course, more and more regions and countries where we also operate. So when it's about, let's say, water scarcity, of course, now all of you and all of us basically have really good targets to reduce gas house emissions. And then at the same time, what we also wish is that basically agri-food sector per se is going to be and is also in the future a very true, let's say, a player in the economies, and also attracting young generations to see that there are opportunities in the research, but also in the entrepreneurship. And I think these are, we often hear actually that, well, people are looking for talent, and how could we attract more talented young people in these areas. And I think this is certainly something that maybe not really only a problem of agri-food sector, but definitely one of the issues that we have, and all the efforts that we do when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to supporting startups. It's also for these reasons that, you know, we are safeguarding somehow the future of this economic area. Eva, next slide, please. So to give you a little glimpse of the different partners that we have, we indeed are kind of like combining what we call a knowledge and integration, knowledge KTI integration, kind of a triangle, putting together academia, industry partners, and then also startups. One thing also that is obviously really key on EIT Food is that we obviously have consumers really in the center of everything that we do. So maybe Eva, you can go to the next, because I think probably there is, no, we go to the focus area already. Can you maybe come back then to the one before? I just want to maybe highlight a few things on the, this is of course not then presenting you all the partners that we have. This is just one part of the picture. So there are many others, and we basically really are extremely, let's say, living community. And one maybe feature that Julia a little bit later will be talking to you about is also what is called Rising Food Stars, but you will probably hear a little bit more about that one. But it is actually a special effort of EIT Food to actually see that one of the special efforts where we actually we want to put the startups really in the center of the activities that we do. So, but next slide then, Eva. So this is something new probably for many of you. We have actually divided our kind of activities in 6 different focus areas. And obviously targeted nutrition is one of those. Then also digital transformation and traceability. I think we all agree when we have going through also this COVID situation that this is one of the areas where we really need to focus on as well. Circular food systems as a whole, sustainable agriculture, and also sustainable aquaculture. I mean, we did have a very big open call very recently on the sustainable aquaculture, and we actually had really great proposals there. And so the last focus area is actually bringing me to the, let's say, the topic of the day, which is the alternative proteins and plant-based proteins. And this is actually a very important, obviously, let's say, focus area as well, because there's a lot of things happening currently. So Eva, can you go to the next slide? It is not changing, but hopefully it is changing for, now it is changing. Okay, great. So when I'm saying that there's a lot of things happening, we managed to find these kind of figures that are always very talking to itself, so to speak. So if you look at the, let's say, the growth in the alternate protein invested capital and deal count, you can see that it has really like grown hugely. And basically the total 2020 invested capital in these plant-based areas is like, or alternative proteins areas for the industries has been $3.1 billion. So you can see that there's a huge opportunities, but I think that we really need to go fast. And so therefore, because we need to go fast, I will actually end my introduction here, and then we will go actually to the part of the work of the day. Thank you very much and enjoy your day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I will take the word now. My name is Lise Valbom, and I'm the CEO of Food Nation. And I'm so happy to meet all of you here today. It's great that we can meet this way after all. And I hope that you are all well seated with a nice lunch. This is what it is all about. It's about food and sharing ideas. So we cannot share physically our lunch today, but I really hope that you enjoy yourself and get some food for thought during this session. So I'll just share my screen and take the opportunity to share with you, zoom in on the strongholds of the Danish food cluster within sustainability, but certainly also with the clear focus on the plant-based area, as we just heard. Yes, here we go. So Food Nation, I'll just zoom in on what it is. Actually, it's a special organization, and the core of what we do is that we are this go-to portal for international private and public decision makers seeking information about the Danish food cluster and how it works towards better solutions, products, and global cooperation. This is also why we are happy to meet so many new friends today. So what gives us credibility and agility is that we are a public-private partnership, and this also corresponds very well what we just heard from Marja-Liisa. We work not for profit, and the perspective of having a good understanding of both the public and the private perspective also in innovation and development is a really good perspective. I'd like you to lean back and have a short view on the Danish food cluster. I have brought a little movie. It's just an introduction, so you get a little bit closer on what it's all about.
The global food supply is facing vast challenges: uneven distribution of food, climate change, food loss and waste, malnutrition and obesity. With a growing population, we must collaborate to ensure a reliable supply of sustainable, safe, high-quality food to consumers all over the world, both now and in the future. Somewhere in the world, there's the perfect food business partner for you. A partner who can help grow your business in the global food arena. A business area characterized by enormous growth. It's highly likely that your future food business partner will come from Denmark. Even though our own agricultural area is relatively modest, Danish food production feeds 3 times our own population. Denmark is one of the market leaders in both primary and processed food production, food equipment and ingredients industry, know-how and research. Doing business with the Danish food cluster, you become a part of tomorrow's opportunities and solutions. In Denmark, successful researchers, entrepreneurs and food producers are already future-bound when it comes to their knowledge of resource efficiency, sustainability and innovation. Let's collaborate across nations to convert the global challenges into opportunities. Food Nation is a public-private partnership established by the Danish government and leading private organizations and companies working as a gateway for international stakeholders seeking information about Danish food solutions. Join the Danish food cluster as a business partner or build a career in a field where you will contribute to creating change and discovering better solutions of tomorrow.
So thank you very much for leaning back and looking at the Danish story shortly here. And as you might be familiar with, the Denmark is this very small country high up in the north. Maybe you haven't visited us yet, but even though we are this small country, we do have a long track record as a food nation. But being a small nation, we are also highly dependent on collaborating with nations all around the world. And this is also why it's so perfect that we gather here today. So as we heard earlier, we are all facing the global challenges highlighted by the United Nations in the Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And it is, of course, important that to reach these goals that we work together. And certainly the agriculture and food industry has a vital role to play to realize several of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And the perspective of working towards these Sustainable Development Goals from a Danish perspective is a very special DNA that draws up how we work in the Danish food sector. So our DNA is based on collaboration to increase knowledge and innovation. So we always incorporate perspectives from both academia, the research and the public sector. And this is how we make it all much more than the sum of the parts. We have a strong focus on sustainability and resource efficiency in every part of the value chain. And we have a continuous focus on quality improvement. And if we zoom in on the stronghold of sustainability, what have we succeeded on based on these very strong DNA perspective? Well, since 1990, we have succeeded in raising production value, and we are right now looking at the primary sector. We have succeeded in raising production value volume with 22%, and at the same time reducing the total amount of greenhouse gases with 16%. And the interesting question, of course, is how do we get there, and how do we continue the ambitious work within sustainable development? And you might know the Danish law, which were adapted last year in June. It's nearly 1 year old, which says that we commit ourselves to reduce the CO2 emission with 70% below the 1990 emission before 2030. So of course, this is a journey which not end here. It's a continuous work. And if we look at how do we reach these ambitious goals? Well, of course, every stakeholder across the value chain has a very important role to play. The farmers need to share their practical knowledge and development, and they certainly do this with the high technology. It's from manure spreaders to drones to monitor the growth of the plants and so on. So practical knowledge and development within the farming area. Also academia, of course, we need new solutions throughout the value chain. And the goal is to move the Danish food sector towards an even greater sustainability and environmental friendly production. So always with a focus also on a high level of productivity. The industry part has a focus on new products, increased effectiveness also, and of course, motivated by government dedicated resources and incentives. And I will just get shortly back to this. The consumer's awareness and sustainable consumption is highly important as also a driver for moving forward. And if we just look quickly to the situation of where are we within the plant-based products? Well, 62% of Denmark's total acreage is agricultural land, and we have a really good climate for these growing of these plant-based proteins. So it's fava beans, peas, quinoa, hemp, oyster head, seaweed, clover grass, and alfalfa. And we see a huge interest in both science, primary sector, and also from the public sector. Driving is also coming from the official dietary guidelines, which we had in January this year. I will not go into depth with all of this, just highlighting that there is a clear focus on plant-based food from the government. it's highlighted that we need to eat less meat and choose legumes and fish instead. And we are certainly on a journey, because the status right now is that we only eat 5 grams legumes a day, and the recommended amount is 100 grams of legumes a day. So we certainly have a challenge ahead of us. So the development journey has been kicked off within the plant-based products, and manufacturers face the challenge of offering healthy and sustainable products that also have a high sensory quality and does not include a long ingredients list, which is not understandable. So we have a strong position within ingredient bioscience companies in Denmark, and they can certainly also heighten the category and get even more consumer engaged in eating plant-based products and protein alternatives. I also want to end up saying that this is not about only products for consumers, end products. We also have a strong focus on the primary sector and how we can work on plant-based protein locally produced for animal feed. So we have focus in all kinds in all spaces of the value chain. So thank you very much for having the opportunity to give this fly-in on the strongholds of sustainability and the status shortly on plant-based products in Denmark. I hope you will visit and get to know more on our website. And thank you very much. And I'm really happy now that we are able to take an even closer look at how we work on innovation within this area. So what we will move on to now is actually a short presentation by 2 important stakeholders within the Danish food sector. And I will be happy to welcome now Helle Friis, Innovation Manager from Food and Biocluster Denmark, to the screen. And afterwards, we will invite Jesper Bo Christensen, Special Advisor from Business Region Aarhus also. But for now, Helle, it's great to see you here today, and the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And indeed, of course, I'm very happy and pleased to be here today. And some of all this agricultural land you mentioned before, I put it as my background to show the beautiful landscape we have here in Denmark. So my name is Helle Friis. I have a background in health and nutrition, specialized in food science and management. And for the last 3 years, I have worked here at the cluster, currently as the innovation manager, where I'm creating and executing dissemination, conferences, events, and networking meetings and online activities, and ensuring the newest food innovation research make its way to the SMEs from the leading food universities we have here in Denmark. I'm connecting food and bioresource startups, corporates, universities, and investors in Denmark and also internationally, and working with some of our international relations, connecting our members to companies and ecosystems in other strong food nations around the world. So Food and Biocluster Denmark, it's a globally acting association in the food and bioresource sector with nationwide service and international cooperation with small, medium, and large companies. To maximize innovation and growth within this sector. And among our 300 members, you'll see some of them on the next slide. Just a few of them. I could not fit in 300 logos, I'm sorry, but here are some of them. You'll find world-leading food brands such as Arla, Danish Crown, Carlsberg, Nestlé, Royal Greenland, and on the ingredient side, Novozymes, DuPont, Christian Hansen, and BASF. Of course, we also have all the leading food universities, including University of Copenhagen, Aarhus University, and DTU, among our members. And you'll also get a chance to hear from some of our members today with the 3 Danish entrepreneurs presenting very soon their journey and their product in the plant-based space. Yeah, that was it for me. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Helle. And we will quickly move on, and I would like to welcome Jesper Bo Christensen, Special Advisor from Business Region Aarhus, to join us on the screen.
Yes, thank you very much, Lisa.
Hi, Jesper.
Hi. I will also quickly give an introduction to and zoom into the region in Denmark with the strongest concentration of food and bio-related companies. So next, please. Business region Aarhus is located centrally in Denmark, and as you can see, 1/3 of all food export from Denmark comes from companies located in our region. We have a strong knowledge hub, which is one of the reasons why we have so many companies, in the sense that Aarhus University is a top 25 food and agriculture university globally. We also have really good infrastructure in the sense that we have by far the largest container port in Aarhus of Denmark, and more than half of all the container activities at Port of Aarhus is food related. We also have good connections with airports, etc., and motorways down to the rest of Europe. Next, please. We have some strong concentrated knowledge and innovation centers. The first one is Agrofood Park, which is a concentrated area north of Aarhus, in which startup companies can find easy access to knowledge, to state-of-the-art knowledge. Aarhus University have their research facilities there within food, and startup companies can also get easy access to talk with and develop together with some of the leading companies in our country, and of course also other startup companies located in the incubator in Agrofood Park. Agrofood Park is also the headquarters of Food and Bio Cluster Denmark, which Helle is representing, and home of one of the Food Nation visitor centers, which Lisa is representing. Next, please. Another strong environment for food and bio resource and agriculture research is located in Foulum in our region, and here Aarhus University has all their research on the bio-based area and agriculture, and they also have the largest biogas plant in the world, experimental biogas plant. And this slide, you can see well some of the big leading companies within the food sector concentrated in this area. Next, please. This slide just to illustrate how complete our value chain is from farm to fork, in the sense that, and this is just a few examples of the companies we have and other actors. And besides that, we have the largest university hospital campus in Scandinavia, located right next to Agrofood Park, which gives a lot of possibilities to develop collaboration between the hospital world and food, and how food can help make more healthy products which help people recover from diseases.
So yes, so we are running out of time.
Yes,
if we
next,
need some
please.
questions as well.
And this is the final one, just to show some example of plant-based activities in our region. working with algae, working with insects, and working with grass and extract proteins out of this. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jesper, for giving us this great overview of the Aarhus region. If we just stop the sharing of these slides now, I'm really happy to invite all of you to ask questions. And we'll do our best to take the questions in the chat and do it along the way. I just have a few specific questions for Helle and Jesper. So Helle, just take us a little bit closer to your innovation processes in the food sector. So can you just give us a short answer on what makes Denmark a unique country for strengthening the innovation in the food sector?
Indeed, thank you. I think Denmark, it has a unique story when it comes to food innovation, and some of them you have also already shared, Lisa. We're a very small country, we're producing a lot of food. And I believe one of the major keys here in Denmark is collaboration. It's not a new thing, we've known it for years. When the dairy corporation began, it's ages ago, and now we know them as Arla Foods. It's a massive brand and it's known all over the world. So collaboration is deeply rooted. We work together across the value chain between startups and growing, leading enterprises and also universities. And it's the ability to be innovative and collaborate across the entire value chain, scientists, public institutions, and even market competitors that has defined and shaped today's industry and the products that it led to. And for example, salmonella as a thing would never have been detected or eliminated from Danish poultry if it wasn't because of collaboration. So I think it's definitely collaboration, and then the very strong ecosystem we have here in Denmark to support these great ideas and facilitate the innovation there is.
Great, Helle, very precise. And this is also a great set-off for today's discussion and really inviting all of you to collaborate and please ask questions during the session. So Jesper, I also have a short question for you, and just briefly, you highlighted a lot of different things so great with your region. Could you just highlight maybe the two most important things for startups? Why should they engage in your region? Why is it a good place to be a startup?
Yeah, well, I think if they decide to locate here or locate a part of the company here, they will really find easy access to a lot of other companies which can help them on their journey, further journey. And because we're really leading in the way on sustainable food, and of which a plant-based protein is, of course, a central plays a central role. Well, besides of Aarhus University being leading in food, it's also leading in computer science, which is very important because we see computer science play a larger and larger role within developing these new solutions. So and we have a lot of robot technologies developing here as well, which also we see will play a really huge role in the future. So I think finally, also just mentioned, we have a lot of strong institution organizations besides of food biocluster. We have Danish Technological Institute with a lot of laboratories to test for startups, and we have a great access to companies who can help on the travel to further develop their companies.
So you got in three things, Jesper. Thank you very much. Easy access to other companies in the process, that's great. Leading within computer science and technology in general, and also the location of very strong institutions assisting in the process. So thank you very much for sharing your insights, both Jesper Borg Christensen from Business Region Aarhus and Helle Vedel from Food and Biocluster Denmark. Thank you very much. And I know you are with us for the whole session, so I just want to invite everyone not to hesitate with posing questions in the chat for Jesper or Helle. So now we will move on to the very interesting part also for today, which is the companies presenting the very good ideas within the plant-based area. And I'm very pleased to present the first company here today. It is with great honor that we have Henrik Rindbøl, CEO of Meurice Brands, with us. This is the first startup company that we're meeting today, Meurice Brands, presented by CEO Henrik Rindbøl. And Meurice Brands specializes in hemp's unique nutritional value and develops food and skincare for product based on hemp. So Henrik, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me. My name is Henrik, and we started growing hemp at Meurice in 2015. And since then, we have moved a lot of processing of the equipment, or moved into a lot of processing equipment, and now we are producing a lot of food out of the hemp seeds. Next, please. When we started in 2015, hemp was quite new for us, but we realized quickly that hemp is a very, very old crop. It goes back about 10,000 years, and it has been used for a lot of things within building material, rope, clothes, and the seed must have been used for food also. Next, please. We started by developing a series of products because when we started, there was only a few people in Denmark that knew about what hemp was. So we had to educate the consumers, and we did that by developing a product range, both within food and within skincare. In May 2016, we launched the first products you can see in the corner. So that's where we started. Now we have 35, 40 different products. Next, please. What we are doing in our factory is 100% hemp. We take the raw seed in, and then we can divide it into different ingredients. And that is becoming our main focus now, to be an ingredient supplier for the bigger companies, and this way tap into the plant-based sector also, gluten-free bakeries, everywhere where you need good nutrition. So we are roasting it, we are hulling it, we are using the oil, and we're using the hemp cake from the oil pressing for flour, and then we can shift it and get a protein powder out of it. So we have these products that we all are trying to put into the food industry. Next, please. The education of the consumer is just a picture of that, because we are trying to show people how many different places you can use the hemp products. And it's also a question about open up the innovation thinking of the production people and also for the household when you're making food, that you can actually use it multiple places. So that is what we are trying to do with posters like this. Next, please. The nutrition of the hemp, if you take the upper corner, left hand side, you can see that the roasted seeds, the raw seeds, have about 25% protein, about 27% fiber, and have a lot of fat in it also. When you're hulling it, the one below, you have 33% protein. And a very interesting thing is the lower one in the right corner. That's the shell from the hulling. It still contains about 23% protein. And that is a very, very cheap product. Today, we're actually selling a lot of it for food, for feed for chickens. But we would rather put it into the food industry for human consumption instead. And hemp is also absorbing a lot of CO2 on the fields. That is one of the issues that have come up the last couple of years, that the climate, how things are grown, and if you're transporting it, it's a part of the whole plant-based discussion also, and we are tapping into that also. Next, please. Next, yeah. This is just to show that in Canada, for example, they have been growing hemp and sold hemp since 1998, and they are selling what is more or less equal to 19 Danish kroner per capita. And in Denmark, we are selling for about 1 Danish kroner per capita. So we can see that there is potential to grow a lot. The potential in Europe is big. Europe is far behind Canada and US in using of the uses of hemp in food industry. And that's a part of what we are trying also to tap in. It's not only plant-based, it's all kind of food stuff. Also, for example, for the hospitals, for the elderly speaking, for the small eating elderly people, for example, they have a very nice help in the protein from the hemp. Next, please. This is just to show some of the examples that who we are working with. You can see Arla are producing a plant-based drink with hemp in. Kult and Royal Unibrew are making products with hemp in. They make bread, all kind of products. On the other side, you have what you can use the rest of the plant for. So it's a very, very good plan for the farmers and for us as a production unit. Next, please. Yeah, we can skip that because we are running out of time, but it's just to say a little bit of what we're trying to do to make hemp as normal as salt and pepper in the kitchen. Next, please. We have done a lot of projects, for example, with 7-Eleven, where we introduced hemp products in different varieties. And this is also a way to come out to the normal consumer. Just get the next one. That was all for me. And as we say, may the hemp be with you, then we will all be happy.
Thank you very much, Henrik, and great to see your nice smile here on the screen. And thank you very much.
6 minutes, 47 seconds, and I got 7 minutes. So
no, it's fine. And I'll just encourage everyone participating today, and don't hesitate to ask questions and reach out for Henrik and Meurice brands. But Henrik, I noticed that you were highlighting that you're doing and feeling that you have a huge task in educating consumers and customers. But maybe you could just let us know what is the biggest challenge as you see it for being a startup within the plant-based category?
The biggest challenge have been to convince people or explain people how to use the products. That have been and is still the biggest challenge for us, and it goes both for the consumer, for the business to consumer sector, but it's also business to business, because you have a lot of product developers and they have to learn how to develop these kind of products.
Thank you very much, Henrik. And I will encourage you, Henrik, there's a few specific questions for you in the chat. Would you try to answer them, because we need to move on in the program now with the next presentation. So thank you very much, Henrik, for being with us. And now I'm really pleased to zoom in on the startup company Circular Food Technology, presented by the CEO and co-founder Aviaja Reimann Andersen. And Circular Food Technology turns the leftovers from food production to healthy and tasteful ingredients. So Aviaja, great to have you with us. The stage is yours.
Thank you. And I think Eva will control the presentation. I don't see it. Okay, well, hello and good morning, everyone. My name is Aviaja, and I am, as said, the CEO and one of the co-founders of the Grain by Circular Food Technology. Next, please. Today we're discussing the change towards a more plant-based human diet, and as Marja already established, this change and collective understanding for the necessity of this change comes from the fact that our food system is broken. We have already mentioned that there's a huge food loss going on. More and more people are going hungry to bed. Malnutrition is becoming the norm, with the obesity on the rise, and undernourished children and stunting children becoming more and more severe. At the same time, we're consuming our planet faster and faster every year. So there's no change or no question that bold change is needed in order to rescue our food system. Next. There are several ways to overcome these challenges. But one solution appears to be perhaps the strongest of them all, and that is upcycling. By transforming side streams from the established food and beverage industry to safe and nutritious food, we can both increase the volume of resources available, and we can also curate our planet. And amazingly, it seems that the timing is right. Most consumer studies show that there's an increase in awareness and willingness to adapt from consumers toward upcycled products. Next, please. A grain is part of this change. By upcycling spent grains, we can reintroduce high quality cereals to human consumption. And with an utmost respect for the culinary experience, we can make food from grains that today are underutilized by the industry. And with our patent pending technology, we work towards really disrupting the global food system. And in a few years from now, we will be able to locally improve food systems where the resources are mostly needed. Next, please. Beer is the third most consumed drink across the world, only surpassed by water and tea. So it's a huge product in the market. And every year, the global brewing industry produces and discards more than 40 million tons of spent grains. Spent grains are the malted and massed grains used to brew beer, and in all its simplicity, they offer a nutritional supertanker with sky-high levels of both proteins and fibers. Next, please. Our process offers not only a better exploitation of the grain, we simply diminish the loss of food and hereby protect the land, since the yield from the field is increased. All this we do with a super gentle method where CO2 emissions from our productions are dramatically cut. Next, please. We call it superfood in everyday formats. We try to market products that consumers easily can understand and give an option for all of us to replace everyday products with a healthier, cleaner, and more sustainable alternative. Thank you. That was it. And I'm open for questions if you have any.
Thank you, Marja-Liisa. Thank you very much for taking you on your really impressive and inspiring journey in combating the food loss and waste for the world. So everyone, don't hesitate to ask questions to Marja-Liisa. And I'll just maybe ask you one question, because it's a huge journey that you're on, Marja-Liisa. Where do you see your company in 5 years from now?
Well, in 5 years from now, I hope that we have made a true global impact in the sense that we are in the category of upcycling. We are paving the way as we go, because it's a quite new method of dealing with food, and there are a lot of challenges in it, because food, first of all, needs to be safe. And working with side streams and co-products, there are some challenges, of course. But I think we have, in the very short lifetime that we have had, we have already made quite strong progress in this, and we have been able to market a range of products on the Danish market, and are now looking towards other markets, both in terms of export, but also in terms of establishing production sites. Over the last 10 months, we have done a project in Kenya, which of course is super relevant, because there you have an actual food scarcity issue, and especially towards children in lack of proteins.
So being in this startup area of plant-based proteins, Aviaya, do you see any specific challenges, or is it more to the fact that you're working with upscaling products? Upcycling products, sorry.
I think alternative proteins in itself can be quite tricky because, first of all, proteins doesn't really taste really nice. They have a very special aromatic feature that can be challenging. And also, I think the mere fact that it's alternative can pose challenges because it requires a lot of change of mind from the consumer and from the industry. I think what we offer is sort of a leapfrog on many of these challenges, because the protein that we have does not taste bad. It's quite neutral, and at best it will have a sweet taste. So it's easy to integrate in every diet, basically. And also, I think our sort of go-to-market strategy to do everyday products is quite important, because if you both as a consumer or an industry has to understand a new category, a new resource, and you have to understand a new product, and it can become quite complicated. So I think for us as producers, we need to make it as easy as possible for our customers, whether or not it's an industry or consumer, to adapt the offer that we are bringing to the market.
Yeah. So the fact that it is a new category, so to speak, is a process that we need to get used to.
Yeah, and we need to stop talking about waste and talk about side streams and co-products and underutilized resources, because this is what it is. It is not waste.
It's a resource, yeah. We have a question for you, Aviaya, asking about how do you actually work with this spent grain? Is it possible for you to extract the protein, or is it like you have the spent grain within this high level of protein? Could you explain a little bit more about that?
Right now we're producing as our base product a flour, or different types of flour, which are very high in protein. The flour in itself is around 20 grams of protein per 100 gram. On the energy, it's around 26%. That comes from the protein, but it is possible to make isolates and sort of extract the protein. And we have just started a project now with I don't know what they're called in English, Teknologisk Institut, on this. So it's definitely possible to make protein isolates out of the spent grain.
Okay, so now we have another question here. Yeah, there's a question of what makes your product unique. Are there any competitors in the markets that you are looking to, or why should people choose exactly your brand?
Well, there are a few global competitors or colleagues, I would say. As I mentioned, there are 40 million tons of spent grains available from the brewing industry every year. And the spent grain, the nature of the spent grain doesn't allow for it to be transported across the world. So production needs to be local. So our point of view is that the more the merrier. That we all work with different technologies, and I think there are 5 or 6 sort of serious startup scale-up companies working with spent grain, but there's so much spent grain available, and there's such a huge need for utilizing this resource. So we don't really see it as competition. We are the only one in Scandinavia, and more or less the only ones in Europe. And I think you should choose our products because they're really delicious. and they offer a very healthy alternative to what is on the market already.
Thank you very much, Aviaya, for highlighting the importance of looking at this unused resource and doing it with a local perspective. So thank you very much. And I will also encourage you, Aviaya, to take a look at the chat, because there's a few more questions. So if you could maybe answer some of these specific questions in the chat, and everyone just keep on asking questions. So we will now move on in the presentation, and I'm really happy now to welcome the next startup company, For Better Life, presented by CEO Johanne Jelnes. And For Better Life sells healthy and protein-rich microalgae products. We have golden chlorella, golden bean, and golden pea. So Johanne, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you, everybody. Very happy to be here. Thank you for letting me participate. My name is Johanne Jelnes, and yes, I represent For Better Life. Thank you, Eva. Next slide, please. The next 7 minutes, I'll be talking a bit more about who we are and our products just shortly. I will also believe I need to introduce the microalgae golden chlorella to you, that we believe is a very potent future protein ingredient. And finally, I will talk about how it's been for us to introduce a plant-based protein into the Danish market. So next slide, please. Thank you, Eva. So For Better Life was established 1 year ago, or in March of 2020. So it was a bit of a rough start. But we, as Lisa said correctly, we import our microalgae proteins from Switzerland, from a company called Albert. And currently our product portfolio consists of 2 different sizes of golden chlorella superfood protein powder. And we also have protein powder of monk bean and pea protein, which both include 2% golden chlorella. And in addition to this, and most interesting, we actually have 2 protein pastas, fusilli and penne, that are based on monk bean flour, but include golden chlorella. And so are very high on protein. They both have 22% protein per 100 grams. And finally, a new gluten-free protein that is based on broad bean flour and also includes chlorella. So this is sort of it. Next slide, please. So what is it about this microalgae chlorella that is so amazing? I'll tell you a bit about it more. Thank you. Next slide, please, Eva. The microalgae golden chlorella contains 30% protein. It's actually a very small microalgae. You cannot see it physically on your hand. You would need a microscope to see it. But it is very interesting because it contains all 8 essential amino acids. One of the criteria that is always upheld is that not all plant proteins have all 8 essential amino acids, but this one actually does. It's got all the omega fatty acids 3, 6, and 9. And actually, usually you eat fish to get these omega fatty acids, but the chlorella microalgae is actually the original source and is eaten by the fish in order for us to obtain it. So this is quite interesting. It also has essential minerals, calcium, iron, potassium, magnesium, and zinc, very important for the body. And finally, also contains vitamins B1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and vitamins E and K. So it's got a lot of healthy benefits that are difficult to find in many other plant proteins. Next slide, please. And another very interesting aspect of our microalgae, and it also goes to support the story that Henrik and Aviaya came with. It's very climate friendly. In this case, you can see that it actually uses, in comparison to producing 1 kilo of beef protein, it uses 40% less arable land, and that's because the microalgae is grown in big silos, so there's no land space used for that. In addition, it uses 44% less water, and that's because the microalgae grows on a little sugar and even less water. And because of that, actually, it emits 36 times less CO2 emission than it does when you produce 1 kilo of beef. So that's very interesting. And this is done. These numbers are based on a full life cycle analysis of the golden chlorella. Next slide, please. The thing is that I actually wanted to show a movie, and I'm not sure. Well, let's do it. Let's have a look at it. This actually shows a bit about what the microalgae is.
We are testing at the moment pasta with our algae, golden chlorella. Our idea is to mix algae into the traditional foods, so people do not need to change their eating habits. My name is Meurice. I am the founder of Albert, a startup who produces high-protein microalgae. We are approaching very quickly a protein crisis. Algae contains naturally high protein, 60%. It is the most sustainable form of giving protein to people. We need to put more resources and research into the microalgae area. EIT Food Accelerator Network gave us the access to many industrial partners, possibility to do tests like today with Bühler, and also opened up different discussions with venture capitalists. We believe we can make the world a better place by introducing microalgae to daily diets using less resources.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Eva. This was a short movie to give you an idea of what this microalgae looks like powder-wise. It's totally yellow, and that's why we call it golden gorilla. Next slide, please. So this is what we've thought in terms of, and our experience in general in terms of introducing the microalgae into the Danish market. Not unlike hemp, actually, we also found that it would be incredibly nutritional for the elderly population and those people who eat very little to benefit from the microalgae, because you can get a lot by eating very little. And we were lucky enough through Food and Biocluster Denmark actually to go into a cooperation with a number of hospitals in Denmark, with whom one we have made, they've been very interested in our pasta in terms of their vegan and vegetarian patients. And the other hospital has been looking at our pea protein in terms of incorporating it into their sauces, their ice creams, and so on and so forth to increase the nutritional value of those foods. And those are ongoing cooperations, so we are very excited about that. And not unlike Henrik, and maybe also to a certain extent Evia, we have concluded that not all Danes will use this on a daily basis, particularly the hemp and also our microalgae. So we also found that food producers are our best option in terms of getting a more mainstream understanding of the microalgae as a potent ingredient. And we're currently working with somebody who's developing a cocoa shot, and also somebody who's developing a smoothie in terms of, again, increasing the nutritional values of those two products. We also see a huge potential for the microalgae in terms of plant-based meat and also in terms of bread. So we're definitely looking for cooperations with food producers on that account. The restaurants we also saw, but they've been closed for most of the year, so we think they should have a little more time. So those are the main markets. And next slide and last slide, Eva. So has this been a smooth ride? Not by any yardstick. Again, like the two other presenters, we also have challenges. First of all, of course, the association of when you hear the word microalgae, a lot of people think of the algae that wash up on the beach. That is not the same thing, and we need to educate people on that, of course. Secondly, also the lack of knowledge about all the positive aspects of microalgae. We need to open the door and create more understanding. And with all new innovation, it's always a question of price. We need to sort of build up the market on that. But there are also tons of possibilities on this. I mean, there are increasing demands for alternative proteins, and microalgae fits the bill perfectly on that account. It's uniquely climate friendly. And as I just said, a lot of health benefits. And I think that if there ever was a time for the microalgae to enter the world scene on the food market, now is the time. Next slide. Thank you very much for this very quick presentation. I look forward to questions, and I'll definitely develop a bit more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Johanne, for giving us this very inspiring introduction to the microalgae area. I'm really impressed of how much you have succeeded with within just 1 year, and a very difficult year. Mm-hmm. So Johanne, in a not so difficult year like we are hopefully in the middle of right now, what is your most important ambition to reach out for within this year? What is your most important goal for 2021?
Our most important goal is to actually, I think, continue to expand the knowledge of the microalgae in Denmark, and particularly among food producers and the potentials that are there, because there's a lot of innovation going on within the Danish food market, a lot of plant-based developers out there. And we believe that our microalgae definitely assist in lifting up the nutritional values of some of these plant-based products. It would definitely be a goal for us to have microalgae made a household name, if you wish. They're Danish producers working to get there at this point, and we consider ourselves a bit of a trailblazer in terms of, as Avaya said, developing the market, making it more knowledgeable, and so that is actually our most important work we've had in front of us for this year, and we hope that soon these very famous and very important for us different events that are open for food producers will take place again, because that is an avenue we definitely want to use.
Thank you very much, Johanne, and that is a really good note to end this on, because this is also why we are here around the lunch table to share knowledge and move on in this journey for plant-based or alternative proteins. And Johanne, I will also ask you to take a look at the chat, because there's so much interest in your presentation, and there's a lot of really good questions for your product specifically. But for now, and from my side, I would like to say thank you very much from Business Region Aarhus, from the Danish Food and Bio Cluster, and from Food Nation, and the 3 great startup companies for Better Life, Meurice brands, and also Circular Food Technology. Thank you very much from our side. And I would like now to pass on the word to Julia Bodnar from EIT. Thank you very much.
Hello, hello.
Great, interesting. Do you deal with any characteristics?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Julia.
Yes,
we can hear.
Thank you so much. Apologies, I wasn't sure.
There is, however, someone who has the micro open, so we can hear the discussion. So if someone can turn off the mic, please. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, hello, everyone. My name is Julia Bodnar. I'm part of the EIT Food team, and I believe my presentation is the last one before we go into Q&A session, and I'd like to use this chance to talk about opportunities. So hopefully this presentation will be on a very positive note, because I'd like to present opportunities for startups in the food space made available by EIT Food. Let's do another quick check. If somebody can let me know if you can see my slides well.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you so much, just to make sure. So yes, as Marja-Liisa presented to you in the beginning, we are EIT Food, and our main mission is to strengthen and transform the food system, make it more sustainable and healthier for people, and of course for the environment. And we do this by many ways and many activities, but one of them is focused on business creation and supporting agri-food startups. And when it comes to business creation, the way that we're trying to encourage startups and scale-ups in the agri-food sector is really through many different programs that are offering finance, access to infrastructure and technologies, access to market and customers, to the startups. If you are part of one of our programs, it's of course access to a great network of the biggest stakeholders in the agri-food sector. So it's very much tailored support at any stage of your startup development. And without further ado, I'll jump into our program portfolio. So I believe some of them may have heard about some of the programs or participated. Actually, Food Accelerator Network, or FAN, was mentioned in the previous presentation. My role here and my goal here is to give you an overview of all the programs that we organize, with a main focus on 3 flagship programs: Seedbed, FAN, and Rising Food Stars. So on this slide, we try to gather all the opportunities that we have for startups that are based all over Europe, but also we have a special funding for applicants who come from certain countries in Southern and Eastern Europe. In this presentation, I'll focus on opportunities that are open for all European countries as more relevant in the settings. And just so you can grasp the way we support startups, you see in the bottom of the slide, we have the stages. So each of the programs that we have, we try for it to fit within one of the 4 verticals. pre-launch. So this would be support for people who have ideas and are just building their concept. Then you have launch, very early stage for inspiring, aspiring entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs. Then you have accelerate for support for more mature startups who are already registered. They have some funding and traction indication. And we have a scale vertical, and this would be for scale up. So for more mature companies who are already selling, let's say, in their home market, but they are looking to expand to other markets and probably even start partnering with one of our partners in the EIT Food. So we will start with the launch vertical, and in this vertical we have a program called Seedbed. This is our incubation program that is focused on quite early stage startups, startups who already have some technology in place, perhaps minimal viable product, MVP, perhaps a pilot. And what they're looking for is still to validate their product market fit. So some of you know this because you've gone through this journey, that there is a customer development process in the beginning of every startup development path. What you have to do is reach out to your potential customers and actually check whether your product is needed on the market. So that's exactly what we're trying to focus on during Seedbed, because in this program we are providing you with funding, with skills, with mentoring and training, for you to get out there, to talk to your potential customers, to validate all your assumptions that you have about your product or solution, bring all of that valuable feedback back, and then integrate it into your solution. Hopefully, at the end of the program, you are more certain about the markets you're targeting, all your hypotheses are checked, and you're ready for next steps. So this was Seedbed, and a great example of this program and participants that we had in this program is a company called Fijuice. It's a functional food startup who was founded by a couple of female researchers, and they developed quite a straightforward product, which is juices, smoothies, or ice cream, so different foods that help people, especially pregnant women, increase their iron levels. It's an interesting thing that the need for this product was spotted by one of the co-founders who was in her pregnancy. During her pregnancy, she was suffering from anemia. And this was basically her solution for this. She developed the product based on her scientific research. And now this is the company, this thriving startup, who has gone through our Seedbed program and is now developing further. Then we go into the second core program of EIT Food within the Accelerate vertical, called Food Accelerator Network, or we usually call it FAN for short. It's an easy way to call it. And this is one of the programs that was mentioned in the previous presentation. This is our, as it was called, mini MBA for agri-food entrepreneurs. This is really the great chance to partner with world-leading corporates, with the partners of EIT Food, to test your solution, to form partnerships, to basically scale up. Apart from amazing access to our network, there's also training, there's mentoring, really hands-on program, plus some funding opportunities. And this type of program, it's built for registered startups. So for startups who have been on the market for some time, with some traction indication, traction meaning, you know, some very feasible proof of potential success and interest from the customers. It can be first sales, it can be different memorandums of understandings with potential clients. So anything that shows that you're already going into the right direction and that your product is needed. And this is a 4-month program that we begin every year. And it's delivered across 6 different innovation hubs in Europe that are part of EIT Food. So this was the Food Accelerator program, FAN, and you might notice that on each of the slides that I'm presenting, you see this star saying apply in 2022. That's because we usually start all the flagship programs quite early in the year. We open call for applications around January or February, then we close them around March, April, and right now the program is going on. So if one of these programs look interesting to you, please keep an eye on the webpage of EIT Food and expect to submit your application either late in this year or early in 2022. And the very last program that I'd like to cover during my speech is the Rising Food Stars, which is not even a program, but association. That's how we call it. Sorry, I see that there are some messages coming into chat. I believe we can leave them for later. If you have any questions, if something wasn't clear, please make sure to put your question to the chat. So Rising Food Stars, this is our program or association for scale-ups. So for quite mature companies or mature startups who are past the ideation phase, who have paying customers, who already got some funding, but they are looking to expand to new markets, they're looking to expand with the new products and to potentially partner up with bigger players in the agri-food space. So that's exactly what our association is helping them to do. First of all, you get access to EIT Food Partners. You actually have the rights that are slightly similar to EIT Food Partner, meaning that you can apply with them for European funding. Basically, it's a foot in the door to the biggest food producers and research institutes and who can become your potential clients or partners. It's of course visibility that you get through our network. It's a very tailored support, to be honest. So we try to, since all the startups have different levels, we try to really make the tailored support and provide them what they need exactly in this point of time. And the great example of one of the startups or scale-ups actually that we support. Sorry, for some reason it's going backwards. Let's try to catch up with the presentation. That's great, yeah. So one of the great examples of scale-ups that are part of Rising Food Stars associations is Redefined Meat, the Israeli company. And it's very much relevant to this talk because what they're doing is world's first 3D printed plant-based steak. This is just one example. If you go to eitfood.eu/startups, you'll see all members of, or all current members of Rising Food Stars associations. You see the startups that we're supporting. This will give you a good understanding of the level of scale-ups, of their geography as well, and of course of their focus area. But as we mentioned before, since alternative proteins is one of our focus areas, we really try to support as many startups and scale-ups as possible within this industry. Yes, so I believe this was it from my side. 3 flagship programs of EIT Food that we launch every year, usually in the beginning of the year. If any of these programs spark your interest, please visit the webpage. Here is the link, eitfood.eu/entrepreneurship. You'll see all 3 programs listed there and also more opportunities that we post yearly. Look through them, look through the eligibility criteria, see if you're fit or if you fit first of all, if the program fits your needs and if you fit the program from eligibility perspective, of course. And I also leave my contact details here. If you have any questions, we can either discuss them during Q&A today, or you can also email me. In general, we're looking for innovative companies that fit one of our focus areas, and alternative proteins is one of our focus areas, and companies that have potential for impact to transform the food system. So if that's about you, and if you're needing some help, please check the programs that we offer. And I'm very much looking forward to keep in touch with you and help you if you have any questions. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.
I will really address my warmest thanks for Lise, for Jesper, for Helle, for basically all the startups that the three startups that were presented here. I think once again, what we could really see is that how interesting and how still an area where we need a lot of progress, especially when it comes to consumer acceptance, when it is around these projects and products. But at the same time, I'm really also delighted to see this variety of different sources of proteins when it comes to plant-based proteins, and also the let's say the enthusiasm, which is of course natural, of all you entrepreneurs who are kind of trying to bring these interesting products to the market and actually overcome the big bottleneck that is about the consumer acceptance. So really many thanks for all of you, and obviously, I mean, if you have any further questions later on, you know, the whole team, but as well in Denmark side, as well in EIT side, EIT Food side, we will be delighted to of course answer. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. And otherwise, I really wish you a really nice Friday afternoon. I hope you enjoyed this lunch. Don't know what you had, but nevertheless, I hope it was delightful. And if it was for the moment only for some food for thought, then I hope that you will go and have your lunch now afterwards. And summer is there, so let's enjoy the lovely summertime. And we are definitely looking forward to hearing from you and having you with us in future as well. So many thanks for everyone, and have a nice weekend and stay safe.